are. I've talking to as I go to more Chief games and Royals games, but uh, it doesn't matter to me.
Mhm.
Like I like the K. I love Arrowhead
Same.
or
Same.
GEHA Field. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go no matter what.
It'll be nice if they do
if
it.
the Royals are downtown, or there was, I think the latest rendering is right on the state line
Mhm.
where you could hit a home run into Kansas.
Yeah.
The pitch is thrown in Missouri, but it's a home run could be hit into Kansas.
Potholes and 10 inches of snow on the road. You hit the home run, clear roads.
I don't think it matters if they're in Kansas or Missouri. I'm still going to go.
Yeah. Be a shorter drive if it's by the Speedway.
Now, if I lived down there and it impacted my taxes, I would maybe think differently. But an outside fan,
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm driving. It actually may be easier if it's out near the Speedway to get there than coming down 29 and then navigating your way around by Worlds of Fun, or if you cut through downtown to go out to 70. But you're right, Kansas. The state of Kansas is very aggressive on trying to get the Royals and the Chiefs to move to that side,
which just
the
reminds
border.
everybody, Kansas greater than Missouri. Just here to tell you.
That's Jimmy. I'm Gary. Nick is away today. A couple of things on our discussion at the end of last hour. So the whole Texas A&M Texas rivalry and Texas sabotaging Texas A&M season by hiring their coach. Word is starting to trickle out that this became a discussion between Chris Del Conte, who is the athletic director at Texas, used to be the athletic director at TCU, where Jim Schlossnagle used to be. Schlossnagle had great success, but off the field, he went through a divorce. His wife got custody of the kids. He did not want to stay in Fort Worth, so he went to College Station. He's not staying in College Station. Now he's going to Texas, but word has leaked out that Schlossnagle and the AD at Texas were discussing this and had a deal done before the end of the regular season. The postseason comes. Texas gets assigned to College Station. Texas A&M play a game in a regional. Texas A&M wins the regional. They win the Super. They come into the College World Series. There's 7 outs. Monday, on the day for the national championship game, Game 3, Texas announced officially David Pierce has been fired, even though maybe a week to 10 days prior to that, he had already been told he was fired, and the players at Texas already knew that he was out, and they knew that Schlossnagle was their new head coach. Yeah, that's how it unfolded. So we had a discussion at the end of last hour about, can your rival, either the head-to-head, or they're not only beating you head-to-head, but they're also having success while you're kind of treading water, if that'll get you fired. Sean has a great one. Has a great one here. Is when the head coach at Navy, Ken, who I butcher his last name,
Niumatalolo?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, still got it.
He was a really, really good coach, but then when he couldn't beat Army, he became not a good coach, regardless of what he did against everybody else. It's the whole Michigan-Ohio State football debate. If you don't get Michigan-Ohio State football, understand that if you don't beat that one team, your chief rival, it's hell for 364 days. Even if you are 56-5.
Yeah.
Iowa JD says, and I disagree with this, we know Kirk got Bo Pelini fired. Your AD even referenced it. Well, Bo got himself fired. But
I never thought
people
that.
forget of the stretch of Nebraska being in the Big Ten, and Iowa has owned Nebraska. I'm okay admitting that because facts are facts.
They've won the games.
The person that was the most successful against Iowa was Bo Pelini. Iowa fans can hate Pelini, and especially at the end, a total meltdown. But Bo had a winning record against Iowa. He won a championship on your field.
Mm-hmm.
Do you forget that? It was nice and cold. Rex Burkhead had a big day, stifling defense, and Nebraska won a championship on Iowa's field.
I went in 11. Nebraska won that game. It's a lovely day.
Bo was 3-1 against Iowa in the Big Ten, and usually he would outcoach the guy across the sidelines from him. Yeah. Look at I to this day, in the game in which Nebraska was down 24-7 and won in overtime. That was the Tommy Armstrong game where he threw 4 touchdown passes. I will never, ever, ever understand why Iowa kept kicking to DeMornay Pearsonell. He'd already housed one 80 yards in that game, and they continued to kick to him. But Bo got himself fired at Nebraska.
Yeah. And the AD
that
wanted
relationship was never going to work. But Kirk didn't get Bo fired, regardless of what the mouthpiece said in his announcement of Bo being dismissed. Bo was 3-1 against Iowa. So that didn't happen. Did Kirk impact some other things? Maybe. Adam brought this up earlier about T.O. Nebraska, Oklahoma, fierce rivals, especially back when T.O. took the job from Devaney.
Yeah.
If Devaney was not the athletic director, and I wasn't around back then, but I've heard stories.
Yeah, you didn't host Big Red Overreaction.
Nebraska, Nebraska, Oklahoma in the 70s was intense. It was intense in the 80s as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the 90s when the youth will not understand the full scope of what Nebraska, Oklahoma was, because your dalliance with Nebraska, Oklahoma was not the same. There was some bad football. There were very few 2001s or Big 12 championship game matchups. But think about this. If you believe that not beating your chief rival, even if you have a good overall record,
and everyone likes you,
and everyone likes you and factors it, well, I don't know, back in the 70s when you weren't beating Oklahoma, things were uncomfortable. Adam is right on a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you dabbled with Colorado because you couldn't beat Oklahoma. If Devaney was not the athletic director at Nebraska and your head football coach against your number one rival, you lost 8 of the first 9 times you played them, including the first 5, which in that stretch, Nebraska got blown out. There were 3 of the 5 games, I believe. T.O.'s first 5 games against Oklahoma, 3 of the 5 were at least by almost 4 touchdowns. So you could have made a case. Well, our guy can't beat Oklahoma. We got to find a guy that can beat Oklahoma because we've lost 5 straight games to them in his first 5 games against them. We got to fire him.
That's what we're used to.
You could make a case. Blanket OU got blanket Nebraska fired. Chief rival. Now, T.O. turned it around after, he had the stretch of after losing 8 of 9, he won 3 in a row, and the rest is history. But if Devaney is not the athletic director and you can't beat your rival and you're getting beat badly by them, you could have made a case that, we're winning everywhere else, but we're not winning the games that matter. Yeah. Sorry, got to make a move.
Look at Mac Brown. We were talking earlier. I mean, that 05 season, I know they won the championship, but most of them, yes, they'll talk about the SC game, but what really told their fans that, okay, they might have a chance had nothing to do with any of the games in later October, November, is when they beat Oklahoma 45-12, snapped the 5-game losing streak. And there are some parallels here. You had 63-14, you had 14-3, you had, I think, 38-28, something like that, and then 65-13 and 12-0. You look at the Oklahoma-Nebraska deal, they lost 6 in a row from 72-77, and one of them is 27-0 in Norman. So, yeah, I'm sure 38-7 was the last one. So people can't underestimate the significance of that 78 game, and you've talked about that on the show before, the 17-14 game, but yeah, it changed everything. But it was a different time back then, thankfully.
There's more factors in the Frank Solich-Steve Peterson relationship, but I'm sure people at Kansas State will say that Bill Snyder got Frank Solich fired.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank's the last 4 games, last 4 games that Nebraska and Kansas State played under Frank, they lost the snow game down in Manhattan, got beat by a point. Then the following year, Nebraska was number 2 in the country. Still a tight game. They won by 10 here.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years got blown out in Manhattan, the bad 0-2 team.
The bad uniforms.
And then the game that, probably was the nail in the coffin was the blowout 38-9 in Lincoln, where that guy is talking to sweet holders. Bo runs across the field, gets in Snyder's face. Now, there were other factors that is maybe not even in consideration. But
people outside of here.
But I'm sure at Kansas State they're going, oh, Jesus, yeah. Okay, this is who Snyder got fired when he was his first go-around at K-State.
Every Kansas coach.
He got blank, and he can say, we got Frank Solich fired. We won 3 of 4. And in 2 of those 3 games we won, Blew him out. Wasn't even close.
Yeah. Got Larry Smith fired at Missouri. That's why they hired Pinkel. 66-0 to 99 started the end for him.
You want to know a rivalry? If my job depends on beating that team, that's a rivalry.
Yep.
All right. 28 past the hour. Take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get some emails and some tweets on this. And the guy that is on the clock at Texas A&M to make a hire for baseball with a huge amount of money. What will he do? And then what will he do after he makes this hire? That and much more to come as we roll till 10. Jake Eisenberg, Brandon Vogel, a little bit later will join the show. It's Mornings with Sharp and Hanley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, this is what you could do. You could make your life a lot better if you are in the market for a new suit or sport coat.